Sun Tzu, The Art of War, Chapter 6. Sun Tzu, The Art of War, Chapter 6, and it's very relevant. We have a war in Europe. So what you can do if you're following along with this is you can make some kind of assessment about who's prepared for war the best and who's likely to be victorious. Although I don't see why we should be having a war. Perhaps it would be easier if we could cooperate. But this is about the art of war, and we might want to look at how relevant it is to business and nation states, as they call them. Right? We might want to look about how relevant it is, and maybe we could look at how we could cooperate rather than how we could destroy whole countries and whole businesses. You know, because here it says that the great general takes a country intact, not in pieces. Okay, so the art of war. We've covered the making of plans, which is about calculations, the waging of war, which is about the cost of war, the strategic offensive, which is to attract the strategy of the other person, the other country, the other business. So know your enemy and know yourself, and victory is certain. We've covered forms and dispositions, which is about invincibility or invulnerability. And we've covered potential energy, which is the falcon swooping in perfect timing and breaking the back of its prey, which we haven't seen a lot of in this war, have we? Okay, now we've got empty and full, which is the battlefield. I just need to go back. There's about 36, 37 verses, I think. So strap in, but it's very useful. Empty and full. Master Sun said, first on the battlefield waits for the enemy fresh. Last on the battlefield charges into the fray exhausted. The skillful warrior stirs and is not stirred. He lures his enemy into coming or obstructs him from coming. Exhaust a fresh enemy, starve a well-fed enemy, unsettle a settled enemy, appear at the place to which he must hasten. Hasten to the place where he least expects you. March hundreds of miles without tiring by travelling where no enemy is. Be sure of victory by attacking the undefended. Be sure of defence by defending the unattacked. The skillful warrior attacks so that the enemy cannot defend. He defends so that the enemy cannot attack. O subtlety of subtleties without form, O mystery of mysteries without sound. He is master of his enemy's fate. He advances irresistibly, attacking emptiness. He retreats, eluding pursuit, too swift to be overtaken. If I wish to engage, then the enemy, for all his high ramparts and deep moat, cannot avoid the engagement. I attack that which he is obliged to rescue. If I do not wish to engage, I can hold my ground with nothing more than a line drawn around it. The enemy cannot engage me in combat. I distract him in a different direction. His form is visible, but I am formless. I am concentrated, he is divided. I am concentrated into one, he is divided into 10. I am 10 to his 1, many against his few. Attack few with many and my opponent will be weak. The place I intend to attack must not be known. If it is unknown, the enemy will have to reinforce many places. But I shall attack few. By reinforcing his vanguard, he weakens his rear. By reinforcing his rear, he weakens his vanguard. By reinforcing his right flank, he weakens his left. By reinforcing his left, he weakens his right. By reinforcing every part, he weakens every part. Weakness stems from preparing against attack. Strength stems from obliging the enemy to prepare against an attack. If we know the place and day of the battle, then we can engage even after a march of hundreds of miles. But if neither day nor place is known, then left cannot help right, right cannot help left, vanguard cannot help rear, rear cannot help vanguard. It is still worse if the troops are separated by a dozen miles or even by a mile or two. According to my assessment, the troops of you are many, but that will avail them little in the struggle, so I say victory is still possible. The enemy may be many, but we can prevent an engagement. Scrutinize him, know the flaws in his plans, rouse him, discover the springs of his actions, make his form visible, discover his grounds of death and life, probe him, know his strengths and weaknesses. The highest skill in forming dispositions is to be without form. Formlessness is proof against the prying of the subtlest spy and the machinations of the wisest brain. Exploit the enemy's dispositions to attain victory. This the common man cannot know. He understands the forms, the dispositions of my victory, but not how I created the forms of victory. Victorious campaigns are unrepeatable. They take form in response to the infinite varieties of circumstance. Military dispositions take form like water. Water shuns the high and hastens to the low. War shuns the strong and attacks the weak. Water shapes its current from the lie of the land. The warrior shapes his victory from the dynamic of the enemy. War has no constant dynamic. Water has no constant form. Supreme military skill lies in deriving victory from the changing circumstances of the enemy. Among the 5 elements, there is no one constant supremacy. The 4 seasons have no fixed station. There are long days and short. The moon waxes and it wanes. Great. If you like this, find curious about this, want more, zeteticmind.com. zeteticmind. zeteticmind.com. Or subscribe or hit the like button.